Hello, my name is Keston Blandon. I'm a psychologist and I specialize in dementia. This video is the second of 3 for dementia family members about living with Alzheimer's disease. In this second video, we'll talk about common issues that family members face in the moderate stage of the disease. In this video, we'll talk about moderate stage symptoms, communication, understanding behavior, engaged activities, dealing with driving, and getting support. Although stages occur on a spectrum of grays, there are some typical symptoms that tell you you're in the moderate stage.
Things really began to change for us the day Mark decided to boil eggs and forgot to put water in the pan. The eggs exploded and burned to the bottom of the pan and set off the fire alarms. Well, we were outside in the garden, and when we came into the house, Mark was totally confused about what was happening and what to do. It took a long time for him to settle down.
So in the moderate stages, you may start noticing changes in personality or unusual behaviors. Sometimes confusion can happen. You can also notice delusions, hallucinations, or paranoia.
You don't have to look there. I've already looked there. Jill, do you think I'm an idiot?
No, I don't think you're an idiot. I think the wallet is lost and we need to find it.
It's probably not lost. This has happened before. I'll bet you know exactly where it is.
Why would I know where it is?
You're doing the money now, and you don't want me to have my own money.
There are ways you can talk to people with dementia that will make it easier for them to understand you. And there are ways for you to understand what's going on with them that'll greatly reduce this agitation. Let's start with communication. The first thing is try to be as calm as possible and be short, simple, direct. Look at them when you're talking. One direction or communication at a time, and wait for them to respond to you.
Mark, please don't just put all of the canned goods in one spot. And the chicken needs to be in the freezer, not the fridge. I'm not cooking that until Thursday. If you could put all of those things in the pantry for me, I would really appreciate it.
Well, obviously I'm not helping you, and I don't want to.
It helps someone with dementia if you become very present to them, to the moment and to what you're communicating. Slow down, look at them, talk about one specific thing at a time, use nouns, say green beans, the box of pasta, not them and those. Break things down into small enough pieces that they can receive and process and respond to. And one last thing, pay attention to your tone of voice. People with dementia are very sensitive and react to your mood. So if you can remember that, and it's normal for you to be irritated, but try to keep those emotions out of your voice.
Mark, honey, could you do me a favor?
Sure.
Could you group all of the canned goods on the counter for me?
Yeah.
Thanks. Hey, could you put them all up in the cabinet? That would be such a big help.
Sure. Do you remember the dish that Aunt Jessie made for us? Was made with peas and lamb and eggs.
Yes, that was for Easter.
Yeah, it was an Italian dish. We were at my folks' house on the Cape.
Yeah, you loved that house.
I did. It was on the ocean.
Say, understand that behavior, meaning the responses that your loved one has on you or others or on events, is really a form of communication. And so when they do something that you don't understand, you have to ask yourself, what is this behavior communicating? You can also ask yourself, if they didn't have dementia at this time, how would I interpret what they're trying to tell me? What is it that they need right now? He may be worried, working something out in his mind. Or perhaps he's in a bad mood and wants to do it himself, or feels his personal space is intruded on. Something to remember, and what I often tell people, is you've got to choose your battles. Does this behavior really need to stop right now? Is the behavior, for instance, a safety concern? So if it's not a safety concern, then one thing I tell people is, try, instead of trying to, or putting energy into trying to change the behavior, or putting your energy into trying to understand why they're behaving that way, try to understand what it is that they're feeling, what is their emotion at that time, and respond to that emotion, respond to the feelings. Underlying agitation, worry, distress, paranoia is often confusion. They are confused about something. If you can clear up the confusion easily, do so. But trying to explain what they're confused about can upset them more if they don't understand the explanation. If so, then simply respond to their emotions. Try to soothe them and help move them into a situation that makes sense to them.
Mark, what's wrong? What's wrong?
I can't find that number.
It's okay, sweetie. It's okay. I'm here.
can't-
I'm here.
Oh, I
It's
can't
okay.
find it.
We'll get through it together. Come on.
I don't know.
Back to bed.
It's important that someone with dementia remain engaged in enjoyable activities, but this can be challenging as they lose cognitive ability. The person with dementia needs more and more help with focusing their attention. Activities and important relationships help to focus this attention and provide stability through familiarity. You can think of activities and relationships as anchors in an increasingly confusing world for the person with dementia. Start to think of almost all things they do as an activity. Our activities of daily living, routines and errands, as well as sports or entertainment events, are all activities. Break up long or complex tasks into small, bite-sized parts, a half an hour, that the person with dementia can comprehend and do with success.
Driving is a hallmark of independence in our society, and having these conversations inevitably will have to happen at some point. The time will come whereby the patient, family, and provider will need to have this discussion, which often is a very upsetting discussion for all involved. Patients with dementia often know that the time is coming where they may not be safe enough for driving. Consider some of the signs that indicate driving is becoming an issue. Missing red lights, stop signs, stopping in traffic, confusing the accelerator and the brake, accidents, fender benders, or hitting mailboxes, taking a long time to return from errands or trips, trouble backing up, becoming irritable and anxious when driving. Keep some sort of log or journal or notes of their driving skills so that you have something objective to refer to if emotions get charged and people are upset. This should just be the facts.
Think what will motivate this person to give up driving. We're not asking them to be okay with it, but think of what will motivate them to change. For example, think about the cost of keeping up with the car. Think about the safety and sense of responsibility to others. Families will sometimes ask if they would want their grandchildren in the car with the person with dementia driving. So present it in a way that this is not a matter of if, but when, which may motivate the person with dementia to give up the driving. Emphasize that this is not a personal failure on their part, but rather a consequence of the biological disease. Think of someone who has a seizure disorder. If their seizure is not controlled, we would not want them to be driving. Consider who in their life you think could talk to them about it and they would listen. For example, one of their children, a best friend, the pastor, a social worker at the senior center, their doctor.
So when a person with dementia is calm and driving is not an issue right at that moment, that might be the perfect time to bring it up. It might be a good time to calmly talk with them about it and see if they've noticed things as well, that if they're concerned about their driving as well. And I wouldn't suggest that you pose it as a done deal, or as like this is a decision you've already made, but rather this is something we need to talk about. It's an important topic to talk about. And this might be a good time to also bring in your motivators. So for instance, you might want to suggest to them that they talk to their doctor about whether or not the doctor feels that there is a problem with their driving, or whether or not they feel it's safe for them to be driving at the time. Doctors are often a respected authority in most adults' lives. They can talk to the person with dementia about driving from a disease management point of view. Doctors can issue a medical order that the person not drive anymore.
As you're tackling this issue, make sure you have alternatives, because you don't want your loved one to give up their license and then scramble trying to get them to places.
Oh, the driving was such a heartbreaking issue. Mark had such pride around it. When our oldest son, Tom, was visiting, we arranged for him to talk to his father. Tom and his wife, Linda, and I talked it out first. What would motivate Mark to want to change? We all decided that it was his strong sense of being a responsible person, a cautious man who typically erred on the side of safety.
Those two topics did motivate Dad. He's always been very responsible towards others. But he was still argumentative about whether he was actually unsafe, and I wasn't in this place to make that decision for him. Finally, I asked him if he would feel good about driving with my daughter Ella in the car. He stopped and then began to cry. I cried too. I told him it wasn't his failure, but this damn disease, and we're all behind him. It was hard. It was really hard.
Approach the driving issue with courage and kindness. As Heba said, think about what will motivate them and give room for them to make the decision as much as you can. Approach the conversation when things are calm and think about who in their life, professionals, family, friends, is the best person to talk to them about it.
So the moderate stage is often considered the most challenging or the most difficult, because the person with dementia is really in a great struggle at that point. And there might be some personality changes. There's a great loss in cognition, in somebody's ability to function. There might be some loss in independence. So family members are not only suffering with great losses and feelings of grief and loss, but also they might be experiencing feelings of depression, of stress, a great sense of burden. So Alzheimer's disease is really bigger than any person, one person, or any family. So eventually the disease will make it'll be a 24/7 affair and taking care of the individual. So you cannot and should not be going alone with this. So just like the losses and the changes that the person with dementia goes through is not a personal failure, but rather a consequence of the illness or of the disease. A person's need for support is not a sign of failure, but actually a consequence of the Alzheimer's or the dementia. There are several different ways to get support. One of the best is to join a local support group.
You put one foot in front of the other one.
You'll be among people who truly get you. You'll get great ideas on how to handle things. You'll have access to further resources when you need them. And you'll realize you're not alone.
In this second video, we discussed several common issues in the moderate stage. We talked about symptoms, communication, understanding behavior, engaged activities, dealing with driving, and getting support. Remember to give the person with dementia as much control over difficult decisions as you reasonably can. Recruit friends, family, professionals to be a part of your care team so that they can assist you. As much as possible, the primary caregiver and those closest to the person with dementia should not be the ones overtly making changes. Please, take the time to get support and respite. It is important for everyone involved that you are as healthy and stress-free as possible.